Hi guys,
Welcome back to
Mad Mix.
I'm your host, Mary.
Tiara.
Welcome back to another show. Before we jump into the show, we just want to say thank you to everybody that's been engaging with our content and our videos so far. We officially went live with our last two videos as far as just sharing it all over our social media. And we've had just so many great feedback. And we love that you all have been engaging with the content. And it's been really encouraging to see everybody just being so amazing. And all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the constructive criticism, it's all been amazing. So thank y'all. And we just hope to keep going. And as you see, we've outfitted ourselves with some microphones. So hopefully that does help with the audio a bit, as we do enjoy shooting outdoors. And with that comes all the unique issues, technical difficulties that come with that. But we love being outside and shooting in this sort of space. And we hope that you continue to stay on this journey with us as we continue to grow.
Thanks again, you guys. Don't forget to like this video and comment down below as you know it. And let's get right into the video.
Yes. On today's video, we're going to be discussing hair companies in particular, but also just our journey in the past, 10 to 15 years of us buying hair. Since we were, 14, 15, 16 when we first started.
14.
We got our hands on like our first bundles up until now, and how the hair company and the whole hair buying process, as well as the quality of hair, is the whole game. It's so completely different now. And as we are reverting back to wearing more protective, like sew-ins and
wigs,
right. And even you can't even have box braids these days without having human hair. A bust down box braid is what they call it, right? So we were buying more hair than ever, I would say. And we're just going to talk about not necessarily the history, but the impact that it's had on like young Black girls.
Absolutely.
Our journey, and also what does hair define you? Like, does what you do to your hair define who you are as a person? We're gonna be discussing that. So without further ado, I'm gonna let my sister jump right in for you.
And so yes, my background is in beauty, of course, but mainly focused on hair. So I feel like I have a bit of expertise when it comes to hair extensions, health of your hair. I am a licensed cosmetologist in the state of Texas, and I have been doing hair. I mean, as long as I remember. I used to do her hair, of course, when we were much younger. And that's kind of how I started out in my love for hair. So definitely the game of hair and hair extensions in general has come a very long way, I would say. Yeah. And with that comes good and
the bad,
not so good,
the ugly.
And the ugly. To touch on a little bit of my I guess my experience with hair. I remember back in the day, right, when we first started like putting sew-ins in our hair. I think I would say about the age of 15, around that area, or at that age is when I started kind of researching hair. Back then, honestly, the only research that was available was mainly YouTube, right? Thank God for YouTube.
Right.
But there was I feel like it was really easy, wasn't as overwhelming, but that's my opinion and my experience. I wasn't too overwhelmed. I kind of you kind of paid, if you wanted to go the cheaper route, of course, that was always an option, but you got, you got what you paid for, basically. So of course, I wanted nice hair, just nice little cute sew-in, and that's what we started out doing prior to me even getting my license. I was already doing that, so I knew I did a little bit more research when it comes to hair, what human hair is, and the specs of it, all of that. Well, fast forward to these couple of years, I even go the route of buying vendors from other people that have a little bit more detail and accessibility when it comes to purchasing hair from outsourcing hair and bringing it here. And it doesn't matter how much you pay for it. It seems like you just kind of get basic hair is just like overpriced, I guess, like
Right.
everything else
Like, you
now.
don't know what you're gonna get
Right.
because prior, like you mentioned, when we used to buy hair, if you drop like $300 in like 2013 or 20, not even, like
Yeah,
2010,
I mean, let's say
2011,
like
around
20,
that, when we first started buying hair, like
11, 2011.
if you paid like $300 for a few bundles, you know that you're gonna get good hair, like good quality hair.
Right,
You know,
right.
you're not worried about spending that much or even more, and then it being just anything. Like that's the that's the issue I feel like we're having now, is that you can't there's no quality control, and there's no accountability for these businesses and for these companies to do right by us, because the market is so saturated.
Right.
And it's like, it seems like because everybody seems to want like either a wig, bundles, braids with human hair. It's like the demand is so high that it doesn't matter if the company like just sells you a bunch of poor quality hair,
Right.
and then they just shut down, run out of business or whatever, and then a couple weeks later, a couple months later, they just open up, and they have a new name, and they just keep selling you the same crappy hair,
Right.
just under a new name. And yeah, so it's like there's no quality control, there's nothing that we can do, and there's no protection for us as consumers to make sure that we get what we pay for.
I mean, there's basic, PayPal and things of that nature. But as far as, them really considering the depth of their companies,
Yeah,
there's really, I mean, you could be buying hair really from the same vendor over
Right.
and over again, just under a different name. And it's overwhelming and it's exhausting. It's so exhausting. It's so saturated. And, it's being, all the good companies are gatekeeping, it seems as,
right.
like their quality hair. So it kind of makes it to where either you're, paying a pretty high amount and you're getting okay hair, or, you're paying reasonable amount and then getting like great, like just terrible, terrible hair,
Or
really.
you have to know somebody that, like, celebrity stylists and things like that, that probably do have access to these real, actual, raw hair, like hair that, because really, we talk about this before, there can't be enough human hair in the world to meet the demands of the human
Oh,
hair
no.
market. So it's like, so what am I paying $500 for, really?
Right.
And it's like, how do I know that, because even I've had the experience where I bought hair and it looks great, installed, looks perfect. A month later, disaster. So at that point, you can't even get a refund.
No.
And yeah, sure, there's places like PayPal or whatever that can protect you from scams, but I don't want to wait 3 weeks for my hair and then have to return it and have to find something else to do. Like, I wish there was better quality control when it came to hair, because YouTube reviews, that's not reliable anymore.
No.
You cannot rely, because they don't get the same hair that they send to the rest of their customers,
Their consumers, yeah.
So it's like you can't even. That's what we used to depend on. Going, like, so many times I've just been bamboozled watching hours and hours of reviews, purchasing it, and it was just
it being like, okay,
it does not meet the standard that I paid for. And it's like, so what are y'all doing to like get better hair? Because I know for me, it's like, even the companies that I've trusted in the past, with an exception of maybe one or two, they don't have the same quality anymore.
They don't. And it's like when you've depended on them for so long, like who do you go to? You're like, oh, like now I have to do the whole search again. So it's getting to where it's, I want to know all the secrets. What are we missing? Even me, like with, being able to have access to a little bit more than the norm when it comes to that, and also just kind of seeing what the, green flags or red flags are with these companies, I still get scammed. I still get bamboozled.
Absolutely. And it's like, now more than ever, we are going back to, looking for bundles.
Right.
It's like the natural hair movement, which, for me, I experienced a big chunk of time where I was natural. I went natural when I was fresh into college, and, it was something that I wanted to do for myself, to kind of embrace my natural hair. It was 2020, 2014, it was like the natural hair movement was at its peak.
It was.
Whether it was YouTubers that were like talking about how to care for your natural hair, whether it was like the messaging or the what you see on TV, seeing natural hair being celebrated and ads and stuff like that. It really was like a political move almost to kind of just say like, hey, I'm proud of my hair. And with the resurgence of civil rights movements, active movements like Black Lives Matter and things as such, I that was my way of kind of like standing up in society and saying, hey, like my hair has been demonized, my texture has been demonized, and I'm gonna wear my hair out. And while I did it, it was the mental toll that it took to go through that process. And while there was support online for natural hair movement, it was a lot of it was like commercialized,
yes,
to pushing and pushing and pushing product after product that you didn't need.
Yeah,
having like a 20-step wash day routine, or doing like having all these custards and creams and mousses to kind of mimic hair texture that's acceptable, because texturism was never really addressed. We talked about it, we understood, but kind of like the natural hair movement was hijacked by just companies that wanted to sell products and push products, and also with people not appreciating 4C, coarser texture. They still wanted, they went natural, but they still want you. So we're expecting to see you with
defined coils and
defined hair.
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, let's wake up and walk out the door. Like there's nobody really shows up natural.
Which is that is the natural state of your hair is really nothing but maybe oils or something like that, really,
right.
like free form, and even with that whole Black movement, at supporting Black owned businesses that eventually sold out, and
right.
They're not even owned by, I mean, they have Black founders, of course, but they're not even owned by black communities. Yeah. So it kind of made it tricky in that
because you're over here saying like, hey, let's support everything Black, and it's like, okay, great. But then, like, those same companies turned around and started changing their formulas, and they changed their formulas and changed their business practices to cater to a broader audience because of their success from us buying the product to begin with. So it was like a loop. We poured ourselves into these companies, they succeed, then they sell to a bigger conglomerate,
to a bigger audience,
to a bigger
consumer,
company, that's gonna water down the formula, or manipulate the formula to be more accessible,
yes,
to a bigger range of hair. So you find that something like Shea Moisture is not as heavy as it used to be.
No,
because it's lighter formula to cater to what, like, different texture hair. So it's like it literally even goes down to that. It's like you can't even these days. For me, I advocate for finding product that works for you, whether that's skin, for hair, for body, whatever, and supporting companies that made items for you, regardless of who owns it or who founded it.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's about finding products and being able to know that things work for you and knowing what that looks like.
Exactly.
And just saying, hey, like, I'm just supporting a bunch. I'm just gonna buy this because Black owned. I'm gonna see what works for me. I'm gonna buy this. Like, we need to stop pushing we don't need to buy so much.
Exactly. And when it comes to products, like even going down to the detail of knowing exactly what's it's formulated with.
Right.
And apps like Yuka, YUKA, no, it's not sponsored. They kind of give you and help you with help figure out what the products are formulated with, because I've noticed a lot of products that are advertised, and majority of the consumers are Black, or Black
Right.
communities, Black people. They have a high percent of fragrance, which is not good for our skin, to be honest.
Right.
And also a lot of chemicals, like a lot of smells. Like, it smells good, so that's kind of draws in, and we're like, oh, this is awesome, but you don't even know what the crazy amount of chemicals that they put in there to enable to sustain the consistency of the product, and also to keep it the preserved for so long. The smell, I guess, so more of the smell is the focus than what is in the actual product, which is kind of scary. and we put this in our hair every day. I mean, how many times do you moisturize your hair? Like when you buy mousses and stuff like that, so many times. So like you have to think, like you have to really, I guess, do the homework of finding out what these companies are using in their products, which is essentially goes down to your well-being. And if you are, healthy and fit and want to be out here, doing things and putting the right things in your body, but you don't even know the product you're using is like the cause of a lot of things that you will further deal with down the line, because it doesn't just happen in a short amount of time. It's like over time, like over a decade, you start noticing things about yourself just from the products that you're using. So it's very important to check for sure.
And a lot of like products, especially product that's formulated or targeted to be sold for like our communities, where there's ingredients in there that are very harmful. Even braiding hair, like people realizing that like that braiding hair, which that's such a common form of like protective style or natural hairstyle,
Right.
which is it's really. And then like with me, I found that like I wearing braiding hair and braiding my hair with box braids and or like these styles, it was doing more harm to my hair. And then to come to find out that these fibers that they use are harmful. They can cause cancers and such. So it's like you can't even say that like this is the safest or best way to be, because if you're saying, because with the time that I was natural, a lot of times I would put my hair in those protective styles to help manage my hair, and,
right.
So I'm not doing it every day, but not realizing that I was breaking my hair apart, because my hair is pretty fragile, and also on top of that, those braiding hairs are dangerous, and we shouldn't be using it to braid our hairs and our kids' hairs, and like just even having like knowledge around things that could be harmful to us,
absolutely,
that can cause harm to our reproductive systems. And nobody's gonna go out of their way to do a PSA for us because they don't care.
Right.
So we need to make sure that, or not that they don't care, it's on purpose, So it's really important that we're aware of what we're advocating for, but also understanding that like what somebody does to their hair doesn't necessarily mean that they have a certain political aligning, or they have a certain standard, or even just feeling like, oh, somebody that has like natural hair has probably like, oh, they probably have a higher moral compass than somebody that has a wig. A lot of times people make the mistake of defining people's character based on what's on their head.
Absolutely. So coming from like the professional aspect of it, I have clients that tell me like, oh, when I have my hair straight, like I don't feel as I blend in, I guess, lack of a better word, I blend in with this type of demographic. Or when I do have my braids, I feel as though that coworkers treat me differently, or whatever it is that they're wanting me to do to their hair. There's always some type of like agenda and a story, which I guess, we are human.
Right.
We're going to judge by the appearance of people, but it doesn't define who they are. That's the crazy part. It does not define who that person is, what they care about, right, what they represent, how they feel about themselves. It's just a facade, and in that sense, I guess, that they put on. But I get a lot of, really like just stories, and I almost have to like be a hair therapist at that point and tell them like, that's not something that you should worry about at all. Straighten your hair, curling your hair, whatever you do to your hair, just be confident, because a lot of what we think can be what's getting reflected. And so I try to just kind of like implement a healthier way of how, they manage their hair, of course, but also a healthier way how they see themselves in society. But I mean, to me too, I've experienced that myself. When I do wear my wigs, certain type of people are, attracted to me or drawn to me for some reason. Or when I have braids, which I don't, because it's just one of those things that doesn't work for my hair. But if I do, I feel like my own people see me differently. It's weird. Yeah. Like it's just really strange, and I think that just comes from us being naturally human. But it does kind of define your character in that sense.
That it's part of like, it's a part of your story. It's just like, if I decided to dress a certain way,
right,
or decided to wear a certain type of makeup, or it is part of it. I'm not saying that there's not political implications, but it is part of like for some people, I feel like it's deeper for some people than others in a sense.
Yeah.
Like there's people that are like, hey, like I just change it up. Like I like to wear extensions sometimes. I like to wear braids. I like to wear wigs. You know, like a lot of people do. Like that's part of like the creativity and the magic around being a Black girl is being able to change your hair
and the beauty.
and but it's like, but sometimes it is very intentional. Like sometimes it's like, hey, I got this hair because I knew I was going to be in a certain space where I'm going to need to be to reflect a certain thing.
Image, yeah.
But that's not even on us. We're not the ones that like place those certain specific, characteristics on us based on our hair. No other race has to worry about that. They can wear extensions, they can curl it, they can crimp it, they can dye it, they can cut it, they can shave it, and it's still like, oh, it was just like, oh, like okay, you're just switching it up.
Yeah,
It's not seen as like, oh, you're not wearing your afro anymore, like you hate yourself now. Like it's not seen like that. Like I get that everything is matters, and those choices are not in a vacuum that are made. Like if you are wearing your hair natural, that you are making a statement, but it's like that's more of like, but that's also, but the thing is like you should not think that that person walking down the street with an afro is somehow more, even more natural. Like that could be an afro wig for all you know. And then you see like maybe somebody that has just recently blown out their hair,
right,
after being natural or after wearing their hair in its natural state for a year, and you'd be like, oh, see, they don't love themselves. Look at that queen right there with the afro. And it's like you don't, but then like today you can see me like this today, tomorrow you can see me in a completely different hairstyle, and I'm still the same person. But it's like a choice. It is a choice to show up in a certain way, and hair, just like outfit, makeup, everything, is part of how you present yourself.
absolutely.
So if you do show up in a certain way, you will be treated in a certain way. And is that fair? No, it's not fair.
Yeah,
but it's like just the same way that you wouldn't show up in like a really like, you know, like just like you wouldn't show up in certain environments wearing a certain type of clothes. Some people are the same way with their hair, and sometimes it's assimilating. I feel like if you're assimilating to make your life easier, to make sure that you have a higher chance of succeeding, like you shouldn't be crucified for it.
exactly.
Like nobody signs you. Like you don't have to sign up to like take the burden of changing people's minds. That, oh, I'm going to prove to them that natural hair can be classy and beautiful and da da da. Not saying that it can't be, because that's not the thing. Like natural hair can be all the things, and I've seen it styled in many different ways,
and it's all beautiful.
Yeah, and it's all beautiful. But if it's like, if you want to go ahead and make that change to try something different, go for it. Like you should not feel like for me, I made the mistake of tying it to my identity of being natural, and so then whenever I wanted to change it up, I feel like I was betraying that.
Right.
And it shouldn't be that way, because that's like that's the pressure that you're putting on yourself that you shouldn't have to, when it should just be part of the experience, is being able to change it up.
Yeah, and I feel like we do it to ourselves in a sense. Like I don't really experience it from other races. It's more of like I get it more from my own people. Like when I wear wigs versus me wearing my natural hair out. When it's curly or whatever, I get it more from us than anything. And it's like it doesn't make me any less hating of my skin color just because I switch it up. To me, it's just literally like I chose to wear heels instead of flats.
Right.
That's how it's very much so. It's not that deep for me, but I get that we've made it such a big deal to the point where now, like, you see this whole movement of people shaving their heads just to show the statement of like, I'm not going to let my hair define me, which I think it's absolutely beautiful. I've done that myself, and it is liberating and it's amazing. But also it doesn't mean that you will not, struggle through other things, or the same feelings might come back when your hair grows out. And it's just not one way. I think that's what we're trying to say here. It's like it's not one way.
And just understanding that, like, whenever, like, say some, like you, like me, like if I went and got box braids, is or braids in general, is gonna be like, I'm gonna get them to long, because I do like the way that the long hair shapes my face. But so if I go and get a wig, that's like it's still protecting. Like we have these protective styles. Wigs can be protective too, if done right. Box braids can be protective if done right.
Right.
But you can mess up your hair both ways. Like there's people that leave their braids in their hair for 6 months. Like that's not healthy. Same way that like doing shit to your gluing stuff to your scalp directly, right, and not knowing how to properly install, remove, take care of your hair underneath. Like, it's all very important. And they, the argument is that, like, oh, you're just, buying bundles and taking like energy, like the energy behind hair that you're taking. And it's like, yeah, like hair is spiritual when it comes to that sense. That's why I stage my bundles. So I mean, there's ways around everything.
Yeah, it is. Hair is
that's
spiritual.
If it's even somebody's human hair at this point,
right?
I don't know what is going on.
And we're not advocating the whole crazy. What is that movie called? Chris Rock, Good Hair. Man, the horror of that, the behind the scenes of how these companies get hair.
Yeah.
It did make me stop wearing extensions for a while, but then I quickly realized that it's not human hair. And then it's like, okay. And so just like, okay, it's one of those things that does play with you a little bit when you see the depth of what these companies do to get hair,
Yeah, it has to be interrogated for sure. And I think it's like, that's the direction in which I want to see us more, us trying to, like, that's where we need to be. Like, it's clear that we're going to still be wearing bundles. It's clear that we're not all just going to throw our wigs out and go outside with our afros tomorrow, right? So now that that's clear, how do we like cultivate a better culture around, ethical purchasing of hair?
Yes.
Knowledge and education around how to care for hair, how to care for extensions, and then it's like, and then
how to care for your own hair type too.
For me, also, is how do we take financial control over the hair market? Because the story is all as old as day. The Asian store owners that sell the hair,
mm-hmm.
or like just knowing that this money or all this, this multi-billion-dollar industry that's not going into our pockets. But doing so doesn't just mean blindly support everybody that's saying that they're black owned, like we just mentioned earlier. But we need to meet in the middle. Like, something has to give. Because I refuse to keep giving my money to these companies that don't care about me, that don't care about what they're putting on my head, that lie to me, gaslight me about the quality of the hair, like that part, the gaslight part. And so it's like,
and then extensions are fake, but then you go and braid your hair with fake hair too, and that probably came from the same place.
Somebody's still profiting off of that,
right? So exactly.
It's like, I've seen amazing things like bamboo hair, braiding hair, and natural fibers.
Yes,
and that's something I'm really interested in. Like, it's a little more pricey, but I feel like it's well worth it. And if you see me in braids, just know that it's gonna be like natural fiber braiding hair, and that's why I haven't been rocking a lot of braids like I used to. Is because it was irritating my scalp. It was breaking my hair. People don't understand that. Like, hey, like you haven't been wearing, like, I used to do the twists, the braids, the all this stuff, the locks, the faux locks. But it's like these days, as I've grown up and my style has kind of changed, I kind of like different styles. Even the city that I moved to. When I was living in Arizona, a majority, ironically, like Arizona, which was a majority white population, I found that I had an easier time navigating with my natural hair. I found that it was they don't, like, white people don't give a shit what's on top of your head sometimes. Woo. That's why there's the the whole stereotype of the stiff wig, soft life. Like they, like this is like they don't care about what's on your head, and to a certain extent, it's when I moved to Dallas where I was extra cautious, especially I work in the service industry, so appearance is very important. It's like number one, and I know that I was able to get better. Rude.
So
I knew
rude.
So nasty.
So nasty and so rude.
I know that I had better even employment opportunities off the fact that I presented myself in a certain way and wear my hair straight. I found that it's easier and it's more acceptable, which is so ironic because that's because I'm majority around a lot more black people and just more diverse groups of people. So even then, like, a lot of that work needs to come with how we view each other.
Exactly. We got to cut the bullshit.
That whole, black people know when your hair is not done when you leave the house type of thing, So it's like an understanding that even, you could talk a bit more about this, like the real face of hair extensions. Like who do you find wearing more? Like,
y'all, come on now. I think we all know that. We all know that the hair extension, tape-in, fusion. We know that it's not black. It's not black women that rock it.
Mostly getting
Rock it
fusion
the most.
or
Let's be
tape-ins.
honest.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that, but let's just be honest. And we are a big part of hair extensions, but we're not the only demographic
Right.
that benefits or that gets their hair done and gets extensions.
Right.
So we just have to stop this fake, like judgment
Fake
of
concern.
or like they're wearing extensions, so like they're not, all there, not natural.
Yeah, or wigs are bad for you.
Right, like, which is crazy because I mean, that is how the knowledge of everything really does save you. So being knowledgeable about how to apply your wigs, me, I don't, even if I wear my wigs, I rather just kind of tuck them, comb them, and then like put little secure units here and there. But I don't necessarily like gluing them down just because I have had a bad experience with majority of the adhesive. So I get that. So just know what like works for you and know how to take care of your hair more so than like how you wear it. Like try to we got to get out of this like thing of like just being stuck with, oh, you've had braids all your life or you think a certain way, so you should just be stuck with braids.
We need to stop policing ourselves.
We could do whatever.
Like leave each other, like mind our own business, because these days you never really know what's on top of somebody's hair.
You really don't.
I can pop out with a big, beautiful, curly braid out and you flourishing, and then you have no clue that it's a wig. Somebody like, you can see somebody like, and if you're that person that's like, oh wow, like I really want to achieve a certain hairstyle, whatever hairstyle under the sun, you can probably achieve it.
Yeah.
We all have that access. That's the beauty of it. So if you want your hair to look a certain type of way, you can have that. You may not have the money or the access immediately, but that's when you can work towards. And just because you see somebody rocking like their natural hair, that you never know what it took for them to make themselves look that way or come out to present themselves that way.
And if it is, and if not,
whether it is or not, or
who cares?
You never know what they're gonna look like tomorrow.
Right.
So it's like we need to just kind of mind our own damn business when it comes to each other's heads. Like if you like somebody's hair, compliment their hair.
And please stop walking to another black girl and saying, "Oh my gosh, you have good hair."
Yeah, like complimenting.
It is not a compliment.
Or even just saying, "Is that your real hair?"
Yeah.
Like just microaggressions when it comes to questions that we ask. Like
it's so aggressive.
When a style looks beautiful, but you don't know if it's their own hair or not. Like if you see somebody with a fresh blow up, but you're like, do they have?
But like, who cares? Do we question that with other races of women?
No, you don't.
No, it's always, like, and you don't even, like, you don't just, why not it just be beautiful? Like, oh my gosh, her blowout is bomb. Why does it matter if I can see her scalp or not? Why are we so obsessed with hair looking a certain way? It's just really weird. It's an obsession.
Or it's like, oh, I can see the lace. Well, yeah, it's a wig. So why would you not see somebody's lace when they're wearing a wig? Like, when did it become that we have to fake and make it look like scalp and make it look like that part is
lace is never gonna look like scalp.
No.
And if it does, it's scary. Like, is that someone's scalp on my scalp?
Yeah, like to even achieve that, it's like let people enjoy their hair and whatever they can achieve and whatever they can afford, and like big them up. If you're like, if you see somebody that's like needs help, you can help them. You can give tips or compliments or, hey, your hair is so cute, da da da. Like we're you can offer information. Like don't gatekeep. Like be like more open.
Yeah.
When somebody has that energy, because sometimes like girls be so shady with the way they be asking, and you don't have to be nice or be open to people that are bitchy or weird about the way they approach you. Somebody's obviously being weird. You don't owe them an explanation to how you achieved your look.
Right.
Let them think whatever and move on. So I think that's even it. And this idea about even like you see somebody that's wearing, we all do something to wear our hair to present ourselves in a way that makes us feel good. Even if you have locks in your hair, you're gonna get them retwisted.
Exactly.
You're gonna go and make sure they're in a certain pattern. You don't just let them free form. Like most people don't have free form locks.
They don't.
Most locks are manicured to perfection.
Exactly.
And you know, and if you don't, you have new growth, or you need to go, oh, I need to get my retwist. Like people are really big about that.
Yeah, but that's like, natural versus somebody.
But that's seen as some like, so like even then, like it's not like you just woke up one day and just let your hair start locking up and then you just say, hey, I'm natural, like I don't care. No, like you're still like spending money on products.
There's upkeep. Yeah, they have to be defined. They have to be shiny. It has to be, you know, beautiful and curly at the ends,
like manicured, or even super long before you can even start looking at them as beautiful.
Exactly.
Like Hallie and Chloe. Like
right.
People only appreciate their locks because it's so long.
Right. Check your ingredients list. Make sure you know what you're buying and putting in your hair, and mind your own business.
And I promise you, your hair will flourish.
Yeah, you're right. Because like it's so crazy. Because when I stopped,
we stopped being haters.
Yeah,
life just falls. All of a
sudden, like my edges grow back.
So I promise you, your edges will grow back. Let us know in the comment, what do you think about this whole hair defining your character? Do you think it defines your character? If so, how? And what hair companies do you love? Like I would love if you could drop down some companies that you guys love. Like even if you you know, I'll check it out. You know, even if it's somebody that's sponsoring you, like please, like I'm in the market for just researching as much as possible. That way we can actually formulate something that makes sense, a list of companies. And once we have that information, we can also share that with you. You know, list of companies that you can get curly hair, straight hair, all these other things.
Or if you know of any companies that do natural braids or natural braiding hair.
Natural braiding hair companies.
Yeah, listen below, you guys.
And then we'll let you know. We'll test them out, and we'll be your little guinea pigs. And
we've been that way anyway, so we'll do it again. But thank you guys so much for watching this video through
all the way to the end.
All the way.
Yes, if you made it to the end, we love you.
Yes, we do.
Yes, and
much gratitude.
Like, share,
yes,
subscribe, all that good stuff. Yeah. Alrighty. Until next time.
Bye.
I'll go up this time.
Oh, I got a piece of
Me too.
Bro, my leg fell asleep.